So my name is Judah Leblang, and my book is called Finding My Place, One Man's Journey from Cleveland to Boston and Beyond. The book is basically, I call it an episodic memoir. It's a collection of memoir vignettes. These are true stories. That the first part of the book is basically about growing up in Cleveland during the 60s and 70s, growing up in a city that was kind of past its peak, and particularly growing up in this little Jewish world that I was raised in, and also about my connection with the city and the people there, and also with the sports teams, which were generally not very good. And then the second half of the book is more about my life in the last 10 years here in Boston as a gay man, and also dealing with middle age and all the surprises that that has brought. Somehow I didn't think those things were going to happen to me, but I've learned that, you know, life, as my dad used to say, life is what happens while you're making other plans. And so the book is about dealing with some of those unplanned events.
Yeah, I was browsing through your book a little. There was some incident about you in Provincetown with a T-shirt. Can you talk a little about that?
Yeah, actually, that a couple of the pieces in the book I've also run in Bay Windows, because I write for Bay Windows, which is a weekly gay paper, and I had this one piece called My Training Bra, and it was one of those situations where I kind of was like watching myself at the time, and it was kind of funny. A little bit of a mix of sad and funny, but basically Provincetown in the summer is kind of an intense scene for gay men, and it's like a lot of guys who seem to live at the gym, and although I exercise, I do have a life outside of the gym, and so I was there, and it was also Carnival Week, and Carnival Week is, I guess, a particularly kind of intense time, a little bit like Provincetown version of Mardi Gras. And so there I was, and you know, there's all these guys wearing their little tank tops and things like that. So after a few days in town, because I didn't seem to be getting noticed, I decided I would go ahead and get one. So the story is really about, you know, going into this store called Body Body, which, as I said, I think in the piece, you know, their clothes are designed for men with biceps like melons and butts like cantaloupes, you know, not for thin, mildly fit guys like me. So, yeah, so then I ended up getting the shirt and kind of walking outside, and it was just a reflection on what it was like to, in a way, be trying to fit in. And there I was with lots of other gay men, and so maybe I should have felt like I did fit in, but I didn't really feel that way. And I think the reality is there's a lot of guys who sometimes feel like they don't fit in our community. So, you know, the piece is kind of funny, but I think there is also a message behind it about the fact that ultimately we have to kind of be who we are.
And do you think that there is a, well, it seems to me that there's a proliferation of memoirs, biographies about openly gay people. Obviously, that's a very good thing. Do you see this as more that society is more welcoming to the gay community?
You know, I think there's been a proliferation of memoir in general, and I think memoir by people, not necessarily just famous people who are writing more an autobiography, but more, say, average people, or, you know, people who don't have big names writing about their lives. And within that, you know, there are gay men, there are lesbians, there are more people of color, there are, you know, people with disabilities. Different types of people, I think, are just telling their stories, which I think is a good thing. I'm hoping, for me, if the memoir really works, it's not so much about being gay or being Jewish or being middle-aged or being from Cleveland, as a combination of all those things. And to me, it's really about identity. And I think most people, maybe not everybody, most people have to go through a process of kind of finding their place in the world, and maybe that's something that, in my experience, changes over time. Like, it's not like I figured everything out and now I'm all set. So I think being an out gay man over the last, you know, 15, 20 years is part of the story, but another part is struggling with my Jewish identity, and what does it mean to live in the Northeast when I still feel like I'm from Cleveland? And, you know, I think everybody has multiple pieces and multiple identities, and so I guess I'm hoping that the book is also broader than just kind of, well, the story about some, gay man, I'm hoping that people could relate to it, whether they're man or woman, whether they're, Jewish or Christian or whatever. That I think it touches on some themes that are broader.
And what advice do you have for any other gay writer who's aspiring to write a book?
Gee. I think it would be pretty much the advice that I would have for any writer who's aspiring, especially if they're aspiring to write a nonfiction book. I would say, tell the truth. I would say that if you work at telling a story that feels authentic, the story is probably going to have some power and will interest at least some other people. Maybe not thousands of other people, but some other people are going to resonate with. If you're telling an authentic story, there'll be other people who will resonate with that. I believe that. I teach creative writing, or I teach a lot. I don't know if I teach as much as I facilitate memoir writing classes, and that's basically what I tell people. Speak your truth.